We were shooting that scene at the quarry, and they're humming something, and I'm like, wow, that's a beautiful song. I wish we could get the rights to that song. And they were like, oh, we're just making this up. It's just a song. And that's, as we're shooting a scene. So it was very obvious that that had to be sung during the scene, that had to kind of exist within the space, because it was natural, it was authentic, it was what they were really doing while sitting at the edge of this water.
I play a boy named Jack, who is entirely isolated in his community. He meets someone named Mark, and they sort of become inseparable. And then they meet Sarah, who Amandla plays, and they go from being these isolated people to finally having a community, which all sounds wonderful, but sadly this story is then told through the lens of a police investigation that's investigating a tragic and violent crime that was committed at the end of the story.
My character, Sarah, is adopted in this primarily white suburban neighborhood. And first of all, it's really hard to find parts for Black actresses in indie movies that feel substantial and have meaning. And so, in all movies, honestly. And so I was really drawn to the character just because she's a really cool character. She has meaning and substance, and I kind of connect to her feeling in her environment, where she feels kind of isolated, but finds her identity through her friends, and I think that's really important.
What I found so fascinating about Jack is, so there are things that I found very similar to the character, and obviously those things I recognized, I could do this. But what was very exciting and challenging is the level of passion that he has for these relationships. It's almost unhealthy. I mean, it's beautiful when you find somebody that you love that much and you care for that much, but I don't think Jack has any experience or any emotional infrastructure to be able to separate things, to maturely take time and process, okay, what does this mean? If they're doing this and this hurts me, how do I address this? So it's the most explosive love for these people, and love for the relationship the way he wants it to be and the way it was. And so when things change, he doesn't really know how to address that in a way that you should. And so he reverts to this very childish, almost animal desire, and that's exciting.
I co-wrote it with my dear friend Madison Harrison, who I grew up with. We've known each other since we were 2, grew up in the same community. And it was based on a lot of experiences that we had with our friendship, with other people's friendships, sort of in that area, and also with this kind of tragic story that we heard that had happened in the community when we were younger. That turned out to not be exactly how we remembered it, but that was kind of part of what made this a story that I really wanted to tell, was that idea of memory, and that idea of how you construct your memory, and how you construct your memory with the people you love specifically. I think that anyone who's made a film knows that everything that you think is going to go right goes wrong, everything you think is going to go wrong goes right. I think for me, the thing that I had to learn and that really made me understand the voice of the film was working with the cast and realizing that I could hand it off to them. You know what I mean? That I didn't have to control it anymore, that it wasn't mine at a certain point, and it was about capturing how they understood it and how they functioned with it, because at the end of the day, I think an actor, they have an ability to construct that character that I don't have, that I can write and I can have an idea of how scenes play or what the motivation is, but all the things that they bring to it, I think that's what makes a movie alive, So for me, that was part of the most challenging thing, also the most surprising thing, the most fulfilling thing was really to be able to give it to them at a certain point and say, this is yours now, and you build it and be there to help in whatever way, but really letting them create this world that wouldn't have existed,